Hey, my name is Lena, and honestly, I never thought I'd be the kind of person to hold on to revenge. But when someone you trust completely stabs you in the back, and no one stands by you, something in you changes. This isn't just a story about what happened to me, it's about what I did with the pain. She smiled at me in her wedding dress, while knowing she'd humiliated me the night before. I was supposed to be her maid of honor. Instead, I walked into that church with jagged, chopped hair, and not a single soul asked me if I was okay. But don't worry, I didn't cry for long, because when the time came, I gave her a wedding memory she'll never forget. Life wasn't glamorous, but for once, it was mine. I was 25, finally in a decent rhythm. I'd landed a stable job as a dental assistant, had moved into a cozy little apartment on the edge of town, and even managed to buy a second-hand car in my name. For someone who'd spent most of her early 20s feeling like a background character in everyone else's story, I was finally starting to write my own. I had always been the quiet one, gentle, supportive, never really the center of attention. People used to say I had an old soul, and maybe they were right. I found peace in small things, watering my plants on Sunday mornings, baking banana bread for my neighbors, curling up with books that made me cry a little. I wasn't flashy or loud, and honestly, I never wanted to be. Then there was Camilla, my stepsister. She walked into my life when we were both 12. Our parents married quickly after meeting at some work event, and just like that, we were a blended family. Camilla was fire and noise from the beginning, beautiful, bold, charismatic. The kind of girl who got noticed in every room, whose Instagram comments were always flooded with fire emojis and heart eyes. And I was just Lena, kind of invisible next to her, but despite all our differences, we made it work. We were the same age, went to the same school, and shared a room for nearly 6 years. She could be harsh, sure, but there were also moments when she was kind. We'd talk about boys late at night, watch bad rom-coms in bed. She'd braid my hair before school sometimes and say, "You've got a quiet kind of pretty." I held on to those moments like little treasures, believing they meant something. So when she asked me to be her maid of honor, I genuinely thought we had grown into something special. She said she couldn't imagine walking down the aisle without me by her side, and I believed her. I said yes without hesitation, not just out of politeness, but because I truly cared. I spent weeks helping her plan every detail, choosing flower arrangements, organizing her bridal shower, listening to her vent about her in-laws. I was there for her through all of it, without asking for anything in return. I even put extra effort into myself. I started getting my hair done regularly, something I hadn't treated myself to in years. Bought a beautiful dress that made me feel elegant, confident. Lost a few pounds without even trying, just from being busy and feeling, for once, truly needed. I looked in the mirror and thought, maybe I'm starting to shine a little too. I didn't think she'd notice, but she did. And maybe that was the problem. The night before the wedding was supposed to be one of those magical, sisterly bonding moments. We were all at Camilla's house. Me, the bridesmaids, a few of her friends from college. The air was full of perfume, laughter, clinking glasses. Someone was playing a soft playlist in the background, and for a while I let myself believe that maybe, just maybe, this weekend would be everything I'd hoped for. We were doing face masks, sipping rosé, and reminiscing about embarrassing school dances and awkward first dates. Camilla was glowing in that bride-to-be way, and I couldn't help but feel proud. Not jealous. Proud. I'd stood beside her all these years, through drama, breakups, messy divorce, everything. And now I'd be right there at the altar, handing her the bouquet. It felt full circle. I remember how she looked at me when I went to bed early that night. Everyone else was still up chatting, but I said I wanted to get some sleep, just to be fresh. She hugged me, tight. "Thanks for being here, Lena," she whispered. "I mean it." That moment stuck with me, even after everything, because it made what happened next feel so much worse. I woke up groggy. The kind of morning where you know something's off before your eyes even open. I stretched, sat up, and then I felt it. Hair, all over my pillow. It didn't register at first. My brain was still foggy. Maybe I was shedding, I thought. Maybe it was stress. But when I touched the back of my head, my stomach dropped. My fingers sank into jagged clumps, thick, uneven tufts. My heart started pounding as I stumbled to the mirror. And then I saw it. My hair, chopped, slashed really, like someone had taken dull scissors and gone to war with it. Long strands missing, uneven patches. It looked like a child had cut it in the dark. I stood there, frozen. I couldn't breathe. This wasn't real. This couldn't be real. I ran out of the room, desperate for someone, anyone, to tell me this was some horrible misunderstanding, but when I burst into the living room, all the bridesmaids fell silent. One of them gasped. Another looked away. But Camilla, she sipped her coffee and smiled. I told you not to outshine the bride, she said, as if she were joking, but her eyes told the truth. Cold, smug, deliberate. No one stood up for me. No one said a word. They just looked down, busied themselves with their phones, or sipped their drinks like nothing had happened. It wasn't just betrayal. It was humiliation. In front of people I thought were my friends. On a weekend that was supposed to celebrate love and connection. And in that moment, I realized this wasn't some harmless prank. This was war. I wish I could say I stormed out. That I screamed, threw something, or at least demanded answers. But I didn't. I stood there, in the middle of that rented beach house, trembling in my pajamas with tufts of hair falling off my shoulders. And I froze. My body was there, but my spirit had left. Something in me cracked so quietly it didn't make a sound, but I felt it break. No one came to check on me. No one pulled me aside to ask if I was okay. Not even a fake, half-hearted, "Are you all right?" They all just moved on, like I was a prop that had malfunctioned. I locked myself in the guest bathroom for over an hour, silently sobbing, trying to even out what I could. I had no tools, no makeup, no backup plan. I tried wetting my hair and brushing it down, but it only made it look worse. My once smooth, long hair, my one feature I'd finally felt proud of, was gone. And not just gone. It had been butchered on purpose. I considered leaving. I really did. But I was afraid. Afraid of what it would look like. Afraid of the questions. Afraid of giving her the satisfaction of making me disappear. So I stayed. I wore the dress. I pinned back the worst of the damage with bobby pins I found in a drawer. I didn't recognize the girl in the mirror, but I forced a smile anyway. Because that's what I'd always done. Make it easier for everyone else, even if it cost me my dignity. At the wedding, people whispered. I saw the glances. A few guests asked if everything was all right, but I just nodded, my voice too shaky to answer. Camilla acted like nothing happened. She laughed, posed for photos, threw her bouquet with flair, and every time she looked at me, I saw it. That glimmer in her eye. Satisfaction. The final blow came during the reception. As I was helping organize gifts, I overheard her talking to one of her bridesmaids. She said loud enough for me to hear, "At least now she knows her place. This day wasn't supposed to be about her." That sentence, it hollowed me out. Even my own parents didn't say much. My stepdad, her father, brushed it off as a misunderstanding. My mom looked uncomfortable but didn't push. They were all too invested in the picture-perfect wedding to confront what had actually happened. I've never felt more invisible in my life. Not just unseen, but discarded. Like my feelings didn't matter. Like I was foolish for even thinking I had a place at that table. But here's the thing about hitting rock bottom. Once you're there, you start seeing clearly. And for the first time I realized no one was going to protect me. So I decided I'd protect myself. And I'd do it in a way they'd never forget. I didn't rage. I didn't scream. I didn't throw her bouquet in the trash like I wanted to. That night, after the wedding, I went home quietly. I washed my face, clipped away the remaining patches of my hair with trembling hands, and stared into the mirror, not at the damage, but at what remained. And what remained was me. That night I made a promise, not to get even, but to never let anyone shrink me again just to make themselves feel bigger. I started small, quiet, focused. I stayed off social media for a while, ignoring the hundreds of filtered wedding posts that flooded my feed. I needed silence, space, healing. I threw myself into work, into growth. I took a weekend job at a local salon, learning how to care for hair, how to restore it, nourish it, understand it. It wasn't just practical, it was symbolic. Every strand I trimmed on someone else felt like stitching myself back together. I started posting little tutorials on YouTube, how to regrow damaged hair, how to find confidence after betrayal. At first it was just for me, but people started watching, commenting, thanking me. One of my videos hit 10,000 views, then 100,000. Suddenly, I wasn't just a girl with a sad story. I was someone helping others rise from their own ashes. And then came the opportunity. A wellness brand reached out. They were launching a campaign on emotional healing through self-care, and they wanted me to be part of it. They flew me out to LA, gave me a spotlight I never expected. I told my story, not for revenge, but for release, and it resonated. Women wrote to me saying I gave them strength to leave toxic friendships, to love themselves again, to start over. It wasn't until almost a year later that I heard from Camilla again. She texted me first, then called. Her husband had left her, not because of me, because of her. The mask had cracked. Apparently, he'd found old messages she thought she'd deleted. Messages that showed she had been cheating on him with an ex, even during their engagement. I didn't send him those messages, but I had them. All of them. Screenshots she once sent me, laughing about her backup plan and calling her fiancé a safe investment. I'd saved them, just in case. So when he reached out, heartbroken and confused, I simply forwarded what I had. No threats, no explanations, just the truth. Camilla never publicly admitted what she did to me. But word got around. People saw who she really was. Her perfect image? It cracked. Slowly, silently, but thoroughly. When she begged to meet up to talk it out, I said no. I didn't need closure from someone who never gave me honesty. Because I wasn't the same girl with hacked hair and a broken smile anymore. I was a woman who took her pain and turned it into power. And that, right there, was the sweetest kind of revenge. I don't regret what I did, and not because it was revenge, but because it was justice. It wasn't about destroying her life. It was about taking back mine. I learned that kindness doesn't mean weakness, and silence doesn't mean surrender. Sometimes, the quietest girls carry the sharpest truth. If this story meant something to you, subscribe for more. And if you've ever been humiliated by someone you trusted, just know this. You don't have to scream to be powerful. You just have to choose not to stay small.